Hi guys, it's Charla from That Girl Cooks Healthy. So today I'm going to show you how to make some browning sauce, also known as browning. So these are the things that you need to make the recipe. You're going to need a saucepan. You're going to need a large saucepan, and you also want to use a saucepan that is preferably non-stick and old. Don't use your fancy, nice, new, prestige saucepans for this recipe because you might ruin it. You also need a spatula or a wooden spoon. I don't recommend using anything that is metal because that's going to scratch up your saucepan. Even though you're using a old one, you still don't want to scratch it up if you don't need to, so use something soft. You do need boiling water. I cannot emphasize how much important it is to use boiling water. Don't use tepid, don't use lukewarm, it must be boiling water. I also have a sauce bottle as well. If you don't have a sauce bottle, you can use like a mason jar, but it is better to use a sauce bottle because it's easier when you're using the browning to pour it into your recipes. I also have some raw cane sugar as well. When I first made this recipe, I used to use coconut sugar, but because we are using it more for aesthetic reasons more than its nutritional value, any type of brown sugar can work for this recipe. And I also have some pink salt as well, and that is optional. I like to add pink salt even though I use my browning for baked goods, but if you don't want to add the salt, then you can just leave that out. You don't have to add that. So I'm just going to add my sugar to my saucepan, and the heat level is about a medium. So you want it to be like medium low. You definitely don't want your saucepan to be on high heat, or that will burn the browning. It will brown way too quick. So what you want to do is when you've added the sugar, as you can see, I'm just stirring it. Now it's very important that you don't leave this unattended at no time at all, because we are burning sugar. Technically browning is charged sugar, so you really want to make sure that you babysit the entire process and keep stirring. So as you can see, I'm just stirring, and what's going to happen, you're going to go through stages when it starts to break down and dissolve. So the sugar will dissolve. As you can see, it's starting to dissolve now, and it's going to go and turn into more of a syrup type of consistency, and that is what we want. So when it starts to get to a syrupy type of consistency, it's going to go from there, and it's going to darken quite quickly. Now we want our browning to be almost black. So when it starts to become a syrup type of consistency, you're going to notice that it's going to start to bubble, and the syrup's consistency is going to be really dark. It's going to be really dark, and that is the sweet spot. That is when you know it is ready. And once you get to that point, we are going to add the hot water. So now you can see that we've been stirring it now for several minutes, and we are going through the stage where it's starting, the sugar starting to break down, and we're going through to that caramel stage, and then we are going to go through the bubbling like I mentioned before. And once it starts to get to that bubbling point, I cannot emphasize how important it is to remove the saucepan from your stove. So you move it from your stove, and then you're going to slowly add the water because you don't want to burn yourself, and you want to make sure that you don't get any lumps as well. So this is the sweet spot. This is where you need to stop browning the sugar, and you need to remove it from the stove and start to add the water very slowly. So as you can see here, I've removed it from the stove and I'm adding the water really slowly. It's very important that you want to keep the sugar hot. You don't want it to cool down, or else it's going to form lumps, and you also want your water to be boiling. You can see I'm adding it slowly in increments just to make sure that the browning doesn't burn me and it doesn't start to splutter, because that can happen if you add it too much, and you know that can be really dangerous. So just add it slowly, stir at the same time, and you should get a really smooth consistency. So I've added the water. So now that I've added the water, you can see that it's nice. It's a nice dark color and it is really smooth, and that's what I want. And I'm gonna add my pink salt now and continue to stir. And I add it now so that it gives it a chance while it's warm to dissolve. So you don't have to add the pink salt, but that's what I like to do. And I'm going to now transfer it into a jug, and once I've transferred it into a jug, I'm then going to pour it into my sauce bottle. As I said, you can use a mason jar, but I like to use a sauce bottle because it's a lot easier when it comes to using it for my recipes. So that is it, guys. That is how you make your browning, aka browning sauce. I have so many people who, if you've been following my recipes on YouTube and also on the blog, you'll know that I have a written version of this, and so many people ask me so many questions about this recipe, so I wanted to make it as a video so you could see it for yourself, so you can make it with me, so you can get it right the first time. It's a really easy recipe to make. If you've been following my recipes, you know that browning is extremely crucial in Jamaican and Caribbean recipes. Also, I have a lot of people who are not from the Caribbean who like to make my recipes, and this will be a gateway for you to make the recipes now. You don't have to worry about getting your own browning. So thank you.